Revenge with Anjo.
The phone slipped from Mara Jennings' hand, hitting her glass desk with a dull, lifeless thud. Her monitor glowed with flight manifests and reservation codes, but all she could see was the message pulsing across her phone screen. You have been removed from the Jennings family chat by admin Caleb Jennings. Her lungs froze. The Skylink Airlines dashboard blurred into meaningless pixels. She blinked hard, as though that would erase what she'd seen. But when she refreshed the screen, a new chat appeared. Family only. Anniversary planning. Everyone was there. Her husband Ethan, his parents, his siblings, their spouses, even Caleb's new girlfriend of 6 months. Everyone except her. The first message stabbed deeper than any insult. Family only in this chat. Discussing mom and dad's 50th anniversary in Maui. No need to involve outsiders. Outsider. Mara exhaled slowly, a tremor in her chest. 12 years of marriage, 2 children, countless family holidays planned, and now she was an outsider? The word burned like acid behind her ribs. She pressed her palm against the desk, whispering to herself, "Not today, Mara. Not today." Her name was Mara Jennings, 35, senior operations executive at Skylink Airlines. The woman everyone called when travel plans went wrong. To her in-laws, she'd been the family's personal travel concierge for a decade, booking their trips, arranging upgrades, securing discounts. Her employee access had been a magic wand. She could turn chaos into comfort, coach into first class, and overbooked into VIP. She had done it quietly, efficiently, never once reminding them how much they saved because of her. Her computer still displayed the Jennings' upcoming anniversary trip, 15 first-class buddy passes, confirmed but not yet activated. Hotels across Maui reserved through her corporate partnership rates. Savings of nearly $40,000. And yet, she was the outsider. The office buzzed softly around her as her colleague James leaned over her cubicle. "You okay?" he asked. "You're doing that silent stare thing again." Mara smiled faintly. "Just family drama." "Your in-laws again?" James groaned. "You do too much for those people." He had no idea. Ethan texted her later that afternoon. "Ethan, hey honey, don't take it personally. Caleb's just being dramatic about the divorce." Mara stared at the message. The divorce. Caleb was divorcing his wife, Natalie, and anyone who spoke to her was now, apparently, disloyal. Mara's crime? Picking up Natalie's call last week about their niece's birthday cake. 5 minutes on the phone. That was all it took to erase 12 years of family membership. She typed back, "It's fine," though her hand shook. She opened her spreadsheet labeled Jennings' Hawaii anniversary trip. Columns of flight numbers and upgrade codes stared back at her. She hovered over Activate Buddy Passes. Then she smiled coldly and clicked Archive. Sometimes silence was louder than revenge. For 3 weeks, Mara said nothing. She watched through Ethan's phone when he left it unlocked. The family-only chat buzzed with plans, restaurants, excursions, t-shirt colors. Caleb had appointed himself trip coordinator. "Caleb, got us a great deal on flights, $450 round trip. My travel agent friend came through." Mara almost laughed. Those were her employee passes. Margaret, mom, wonderful. And the hotel discount. Caleb, Tessa's friend at Marriott got us 20% off. Mara bit her lip. It wasn't 20%. It was her Skylink partnership, 60% off. But sure, let him take the credit. That night Ethan asked gently, "You're still handling the real bookings, right?" She turned to him. "Am I family, Ethan?" He hesitated. "Of course you are." "Then why am I not in the family chat?" He exhaled. "You know how Caleb is. Don't make this bigger than it is." Her tone went quiet. "I won't. I'll just handle what I already committed to." It was a lie. She'd handle nothing. 2 weeks before the trip, the text began. "Margaret. Hi dear, quick question about the flights. Do we check in online or at the airport?" No reply. "Tessa. Hey, hotel is asking for an employee ID for the discount. Could you send it?" Silence. Patricia, Caleb's girlfriend. "Hi Mara, Caleb says you might upgrade us to first class. He said you have connections.
Still nothing.
By the 5th day, Ethan stood in the doorway, tense. You're getting their messages. What messages? The Maui trip. She looked up from her laptop, expression serene. What trip? Don't do this, he said. They're panicking. I'm respecting boundaries, she said, holding up her phone.
See?
Family only. He didn't reply. 5 days before departure, chaos erupted. The Jennings family had tried to check in online. Every reservation showed as pending activation. Caleb attempted to change seats and got an error. What do you mean it's not ticketed? He shouted on speaker. I have confirmation numbers. Ethan turned pale, watching his brother unravel. Mara typed calmly on her laptop. Strange. I thought your travel agent friend handled everything. Mara, Ethan whispered, please. My parents are losing it. Oh, your parents, she said softly. The same parents who said nothing when I was called an outsider? This isn't about.
It's exactly about that.
The phone buzzed nonstop as the group chat exploded. Margaret, Caleb, Delta says these are employee passes. What's going on? Kelsey. You said Olivia, Mara set them up. Caleb. I can't activate employee passes. I don't work there. Margaret. Then who does? Silence. Then, Fiona. Call Mara. Ethan's phone rang. His mother's number flashed. He handed it to Mara, eyes pleading. Hello, Margaret. Mara answered sweetly. Mara, dear, there seems to be some confusion about the flights. Oh, I thought Caleb's travel agent was handling that, she said evenly. Didn't want to overstep, not being family and all. The silence was exquisite. You know your family, Mara. Margaret tried. Do I? Because family usually includes you in the group chat. That was Caleb being foolish. That was Caleb being cruel. And everyone else being quiet. Can you fix the flights? Margaret asked, her tone cracking. Can I?
Yes.
Will I? That depends. On what? On whether I'm family or a convenient employee. Ethan mouthed, stop. Mara's eyes stayed on the window. Family gets my help. Outsiders get my silence. She hung up. The fallout was glorious. Delta's spring flights to Hawaii were filling up fast. Without employee passes, the family faced $1,600 tickets per person. The hotel rescinded the discounted rate, $1, $500 per night instead of $200. The chat turned into a battleground. Henry, Dad, this is what happens when you let grudges run the family. Caleb, I'm not apologizing to her. Tessa, you should. You embarrassed all of us. Margaret, the trip is ruined. 50 years of marriage, and we can't even celebrate. Ethan sat on the edge of the bed, face buried in his hands. Please, Mara. My mom's crying. She let me be excluded, Mara said softly. You all did. So, you're really going to ruin their anniversary over a chat? I'm not ruining anything. I'm just not fixing what they broke. That's vindictive.
No, she said.
Vindictive would have been canceling their hotel. This is restraint. 3 days before departure, Caleb showed up at her door. He stood there, shoulders stiff, eyes wary. I'm sorry, he said through clenched teeth. For what? Mara asked. For removing you. And calling you an outsider. She tilted her head. That's a start. What else? He frowned. What else do you want me to say? Figure it out, she said, stepping back. Until then, enjoy explaining to your kids why they're not going to Maui. The door closed softly. Ethan exhaled from the kitchen. You're enjoying this. No, she said. I'm remembering. He frowned. Remembering what? How silence feels when you're surrounded by people who claim to love you. The next morning, Mara opened her office blinds to a flood of golden light. Atlanta's skyline shimmered through the glass, calm and indifferent. Her inbox, however, was not. Margaret, we can't afford last-minute tickets. Please, Mara. Tessa, Caleb says you're holding the flights hostage. Tell me that's not true. Mara closed her eyes, breathing in slowly. Hostage? The audacity almost made her laugh. She opened the Skylink portal, hovering over the pending passes one last time before signing out. Her reflection on the screen looked calm, but her heart beat with quiet rage. For years she'd bent over backward for these people. She'd skipped promotions to attend family vacations, used her privileges to make their lives easier. And in return, she was disposable. When her assistant knocked, Mara's composure returned. "I'm stepping out early today," she said. James frowned. "Everything okay?" She smiled faintly. "It's finally getting there." That evening, the family chat exploded. "Henry, Caleb, this is your fault. You alienated Mara, and now we're stranded." "Caleb, she's punishing us." "Tessa, no, she's teaching you a lesson." Ethan handed Mara his phone, expression weary. "They're falling apart. Actions, consequences," Mara murmured. "Basic cause and effect." Ethan sighed. "My mom's begging you to call her." Mara set her wine glass down gently. "Ethan, when they made that chat, no one stood up for me. Not your mother, not your father. They let Caleb humiliate me. Why should I fix it now?" He hesitated, guilt flickering in his eyes. "Because it's right." Her voice softened. "What's right is setting boundaries. If they truly saw me as family, I'd still be in that chat. I'm not their solution anymore." Ethan said nothing. The quiet between them was thick but necessary. 3 nights before departure, Mara received a text that made her pause. "Diego. Hey Mara. I get it, they were wrong. But my kids don't understand why they can't go to Maui. Anything I can do?" She remembered Diego being the only one who'd texted her after the removal, saying it wasn't fair. She typed back, "Book your own tickets today. Don't wait for them." He replied almost instantly, "That'll start World War III. Mara smiled at her screen. "Or, it'll teach them accountability." Within an hour, Diego had done it. Booked 4 tickets on Southwest, reserved a small oceanfront hotel, and sent a message to the group chat. "Diego, our family's still heading to Maui. We'll celebrate on our own." The reaction was instant. "Margaret, you can't be serious." "Caleb, so you're siding with her?" "Diego, I'm siding with logic." Mara sat back, satisfied. The dominoes were falling beautifully. By morning, Ethan's phone was vibrating nonstop. "Margaret, how could Mara help Diego and not us?" Ethan rubbed his forehead. "They're losing their minds. She helped the one person who didn't betray her," Mara said simply. He gave her a long look. "You realize this might break the family." "It might fix it," she said quietly. "Sometimes breaking is the only way to rebuild." Later that day, Caleb showed up again, furious. "You turned Diego against us." Mara's laugh was sharp.
No, Caleb.
"You did that by being you." "You're petty." "I'm precise." "You're ruining everything." "No," she said, stepping closer. "I'm teaching everyone that loyalty isn't a one-way ticket."
He had no reply.
Only the sound of his own pride echoing in the doorway. 2 days before the supposed flight, Mara sat in her kitchen, stirring coffee as the morning light poured in. The house was silent except for Ethan pacing the floor. "They're desperate," he muttered. "My dad even said he'll pay full price if you'll just activate the tickets." Mara sipped her coffee slowly. "It's not about money." "Then what is it about?" "Respect," she said simply. The doorbell rang again. Margaret this time, red-eyed and trembling. "Mara, please. I can't let our 50th anniversary end like this. Caleb was wrong. We were wrong." Mara regarded her coolly. "You removed me from your world, Margaret. You don't get to invite me back only when it's convenient." "I'll apologize publicly, whatever it takes." Mara's gaze softened, but only slightly. "Do you mean it, or are you just trying to save your trip?" Margaret's silence told her everything. That night, Mara couldn't sleep. She sat by the window, watching airplanes streak across the sky. Somewhere in that dark silence, she found herself whispering, "I didn't want this to be war." Ethan came behind her, resting a hand on her shoulder. "I should have defended you," he said quietly. She turned to him. "Why didn't you?" "I thought keeping the peace was better than starting a fight." Mara smiled sadly. Peace that silences one person isn't peace. It's control. He nodded, ashamed. You're right. I let them disrespect you. Then don't let it happen again, she said softly. They stood there in silence, two silhouettes framed by city lights, realizing this wasn't just about his family. It was about theirs. The next morning brought a surprise. A new notification pinged on Mara's phone. Caleb Jennings added you to Jennings' family chat. She stared at it, expression unreadable.
Caleb. Mara is family.
I was wrong. I let my divorce mess cloud my judgment. Margaret, we're so sorry, Mara. You've always been one of us. Henry, we should have stopped this earlier. Tessa, please help us fix this. We just want to celebrate together. Mara read each message slowly, her heart steady. For 3 weeks, they hadn't cared. But now, when they needed her, they remembered her worth. She typed her reply carefully. Mara, I appreciate the apologies.
But you didn't defend me when it mattered.
That's not family. That's convenience. Diego and his family already have a wonderful trip planned. Maybe next time, remember who makes your world run before you shut them out. Then she left the chat herself. Again. The silence afterward was deafening. Ethan approached her, holding his phone. You actually left the chat again? She met his gaze. I meant what I said. I'm done playing useful. What are they going to do? Whatever people do when they learn humility, she said. Meanwhile, the family chat imploded. Caleb. She left again. Margaret. Can we still go? Tessa. Flights are gone. Hotels are full. Henry. Maybe next year. Ethan looked at her, conflicted. They're staying home. Mara nodded. Lesson learned. Do you feel better? He asked quietly. No, she said honestly. But I feel free. A week later, photos appeared online. Diego's family smiling on the beach, their kids building sandcastles under the Hawaiian sun. He tagged Mara privately. Thank you for helping us make memories. Mara smiled faintly. She'd made one small call through Skylink's partner program, just enough to get him a discounted room. When Ethan saw the photos, he sighed. They look happy.
They deserve to be, she said.
He hesitated. My family's furious. Good, she said softly. It means they're reflecting. Then she turned off her phone and poured herself another coffee. For once, the world felt quiet. Weeks passed before the Jennings family spoke again. Then one evening, Henry called Ethan. We'd like to host Easter dinner. Everyone will be there, including Mara. Ethan looked to her. You okay with that? She thought for a moment.
Yes.
But I'm not walking and apologetic. When they arrived, the air was thick with awkward civility. Caleb avoided her eyes. Tessa overcompensated with small talk. Diego gave her a discreet thumbs up. During dessert, Margaret finally cleared her throat. Mara, we've decided to try again for Hawaii. Next year. Properly this time. Mara smiled faintly. If we do, everyone books their own tickets. I'll provide discount codes, but I won't manage anyone's travel. That's fair, Henry said immediately. And no secret group chats, she added. Everyone included or I'm out. Heads nodded. The new rules were clear. 8 months later, the Jennings family boarded separate flights to Maui for their 51st anniversary. It wasn't the luxury trip Mara once curated, but it was honest. Caleb booked his own economy seats. Margaret and Henry stayed at a modest resort. Tessa's family roomed with Diego's. Everyone paid their way, no hidden favors, no silent resentment. When Mara arrived with Ethan and their kids, the ocean breeze hit her face like forgiveness. Caleb approached her hesitantly. Mara, I owe you a proper apology. She turned. Then say it. I was angry about losing my family. I took it out on you. I'm sorry. Her eyes softened. Just remember that next time you decide whose family. He nodded, humbled. For the first time in years, the Jennings family ate together without a hierarchy, no favors, no invisible debts, just gratitude. On their last evening in Maui, the sun dipped low over the Pacific, painting the sky in gold and rose. The family gathered on the beach for photos. Margaret clung to Henry's arm, laughing softly. The air smelled of salt and second chances. Ethan slipped an arm around Mara's waist. "You did good," he murmured. "I didn't do anything," she said, smiling. "I just stopped doing everything." "Same thing," he teased. She laughed quietly, her hair fluttering in the breeze. Somewhere behind them, Caleb helped his daughter build a sandcastle. Tessa took pictures. For once, there were no group chats, no tension, just family, present and imperfect. Sometimes peace comes not from fixing people, but from letting them learn who you are when they lose access to what you give. Back home, Mara returned to her office, overlooking the runway. Planes ascended in silver arcs, disappearing into the clouds. James poked his head in. "So, Hawaii worked out?" She smirked. "Let's just say everyone learned the importance of booking early."
He grinned.
"You're evil." "I'm efficient." As he left, she opened a new document titled Boundaries 101. In it, she began listing lessons learned. Never apologize for protecting your peace. Silence can be the loudest answer. Real family doesn't need reminders of your worth. When she finished, she leaned back, letting the hum of the airport fill her ears. For the first time in years, she felt untethered and whole. Months later, Skylink promoted Mara to Director of Operations. Her name appeared in a company-wide email, accompanied by applause emojis. Ethan brought flowers to her office. "You finally got what you deserve," he said proudly. "I got what I stopped apologizing for," she replied. They celebrated that evening at a rooftop restaurant. The city lights shimmered below them like constellations. Ethan raised a glass. "To boundaries." Mara smiled.
"To peace."
He added softly, "and to never letting anyone call you an outsider again." She clinked her glass against his.
"Deal."
By Christmas, the Jennings family chat had evolved. It was quieter, kinder. Caleb posted photos of his daughter's recital. Tessa shared cookie recipes. Even Margaret used heart emojis now. And when Mara's name appeared in the thread, no one hesitated. "Caleb, hey Mara, you're still getting those Skylink perks?" "Mara, wouldn't you like to know?" Laughter flooded the chat. For once, it wasn't mockery, it was inclusion. Ethan nudged her playfully. "You're finally one of them again." She smiled.
"No."
"They're finally acting like they should have all along." One afternoon, Mara received a handwritten card in the mail. It was from Margaret. The note was simple. "Thank you for teaching us what family really means." She read it twice, her throat tightening. Then she tucked it into her desk drawer beside her promotion letter. Not all wounds need revenge, she thought. Some just need acknowledgement. And sometimes, silence is the sweetest kind of closure. Life returned to rhythm. Work, school, dinners, laughter. Yet every now and then, Mara's phone buzzed with a new group message, and she'd smile at the irony. Family only. She'd once been removed from those words. Now, she'd redefined them. Being family wasn't about blood or convenience. It was about respect, inclusion, and showing up when it mattered, not when benefits were at stake. In her world, those principles stood taller than any tropical vacation could ever offer. One evening, Diego called. "Mara, we're thinking of going back to Maui next summer. The kids still talk about it every day." "Good memories last longer than grudges," she said warmly. "You changed how this family works," he added. She laughed softly. "I didn't change them. I just forced them to look in the mirror." "Still," he said, "thank you for giving us that trip." Mara smiled. "Thank yourself. You took the leap when no one else would." After they hung up, she whispered, "That's family." A year later, at the Jennings' 52nd anniversary, Mara stood beside Ethan in their garden, surrounded by laughter and clinking glasses. Margaret raised a toast. "To the woman who reminded us that love doesn't come with discounts, it comes with dignity." Everyone clapped. Caleb caught Mara's gaze and mouthed, "Thank you." She nodded once, gracious and composed. The night sky bloomed with fireworks, but Mara only watched the faces around her. No resentment, no walls, just shared air. The woman once labeled an outsider had become the family's quiet anchor. And she didn't need to prove it anymore. Later, when the guests left, Ethan held her hand. You know, if you hadn't stood your ground, nothing would have changed. Mara smiled. Sometimes you have to let things fall apart before they can be rebuilt right. He nodded. You rebuilt them. She looked up at the stars.
No.
I rebuilt myself. They just followed. Her voice was calm, her heart steady. The night hummed softly, the kind of peace you earn, not the kind you beg for. Years later, Mara would tell her children the story, not as a tale of revenge, but of self-respect. She'd tell them how one word, outsider, once shattered her, and how she rebuilt her worth from silence and truth. Never beg to belong, she'd say. The people who deserve you will never make you prove it. In her office, a framed photo sat on her desk. Mara, Ethan, their kids, and the entire Jennings family in Maui, laughing under a setting sun. Underneath it, a tiny caption in her handwriting. Family, not who adds you to the chat, but who keeps you in their heart. And every time her phone pinged with a new message, she smiled, because this time, she chose when to reply.